I'm Tiffany, and this is Towering TBR. Well, we're at the middle point of the year, and so I thought it would be a great time to check in with my goals, as well as do the mid-year book Freakout tag. So, quick check into my goals. The first was to do my bingo prompts that I do as part of my monthly game, choosing my TBR. I am nearly finished with this bingo board and am currently working on making a second, so I feel very much on track for this goal. The second was to read a classic a month. I have now read 6 classics, so I am right on track, doing well with that goal. And the last goal was to have at least 51% of my reading come from my owned TBR. My current percentage is about 36. I have definitely been checking books out from the library and getting new releases. And yeah, it's thrown off my stats. But I'm not too unhappy about it because I've really been enjoying what I've been reading. And so I am going to reevaluate whether it's a goal I want to try to make strides for or just do whatever I want. All right, so let's get into the tag questions. I will make sure to link the original down in the description below. Question 1, what is the best book you've read this year? If you saw my Booktube birthday tag, I mentioned that The Chrysalids by John Wyndham is my current favorite book of the year. I would love for something to dethrone it so that I have multiple favorites. This is a modern classic sci-fi novella that focuses on such an interesting dystopian world. I loved the story. I thought the pace was quick. I liked the characters, and I really liked their commentary on eugenics and ableism. I felt like this really packed a punch, and so far, nothing has dethroned it yet. Question 2, what is the best sequel you've read this year? I do not really read a whole lot in series, so I only had a few answers for this, but I am reading the Expanse series, and I did want to pick out the 5th book, Nemesis Games by James S.A. Corey. I think this is my favorite that I've read so far. We have all of our main characters kind of split up, and we get to learn more about their backstory and have them all come together in a really interesting way. This was really enjoyable and definitely the best sequel I've read so far. Question 3 is, what's a new release you haven't gotten to but want to? And there were so many, but I think I'm going to choose Chain Gang All-Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brené, which I have heard Gemma over from Gemma Books, link her in the description below, but she has absolutely raved about this book. It is a dystopian focused on the prison system, and prisoners are allowed to enter these fights to the death in order to provide amusement to people and also to reduce their sentence.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
It looks to be really a skewering view of the prison system, and I've heard there might even be a little bit of romance, so that sounds good. Question 4 is, what's your most anticipated release of the second half of the year? And I think I have so many, but I decided to choose Just Another Missing Person by Gillian McAllister. I read her book Wrong Place, Wrong Time earlier this year and gave it 5 stars. It blew me away. It was so good. And so when I found out she had another one coming out in August, I am so excited for it. Question 5, what is your biggest disappointment of the year? I think the biggest disappointment was The Angel Maker by Alex North. I received an advanced reader copy, and was really excited because I had given his previous 2 thrillers 4 stars. I quite liked his stuff, and I had high expectations going into it. However, it just wasn't good. The pieces didn't seem to come together. There weren't any surprises. And quite honestly, the only thing I remember is the lack of supernatural events in his books, which his other books have. So Yeah, it was a disappointment, and honestly, I can't even remember much about it. Question 6 is, what was your biggest surprise? And I have to say, Don Quixote was my biggest surprise this year. I had wanted to read it for several years, and I knew it was a satire and was supposed to be funny, but I was really blown away by how accessible and by how hilarious this book was. It is an amazing story, and I can see its influence in other works of literature now, and it was so worth it, and that really surprised me how much I loved it. I did do a video on my chapter by chapter reactions of the first half of Don Quixote, so I'll link that up and in the description below if you want more thoughts on how much I enjoyed Don Quixote. Question number 7 is favorite new author. I haven't read more than one book by a new author this year, but based solely on their single books, The Lost Year by Catherine Marsh is a contender. This was a 5-star, and I have since picked up more books by Catherine Marsh that I'm interested in reading, so she would be a favorite. Or I would also choose Rebecca Tausig, who wrote her memoir, Sitting Pretty. It was amazing, and if she comes out with another book, I am sure to pick that up as well. Question 8 is your newest fictional crush. I don't typically have fictional crushes, but I was thinking when I read Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, I really liked Delilah's character. She was confident, she knew what she wanted, she didn't play games. I just really liked that about her, and I think, yeah, I guess she's my fictional crush. Question 9, favorite new character, and I have to say that's got to be Zeta from Zeta the Space Girl. She is this spunky little girl who, when she finds out her best friend was kidnapped by aliens, she doesn't hesitate. She jumps in that wormhole and goes after to save him. I've only read the first, but there are 2 more in the trilogy, and I'm really looking forward to picking those up and getting to know Zeta a little bit better. Question number 10, a book that made you cry. I didn't just cry. I sobbed when I read The Laramie Project by Moises Kaufman. This is a play based on interviews that the play company held shortly after the murder of Matthew Shepard. They go around interviewing different members of Laramie where he was murdered and talk about how they know the victim, how they know the accused, what their thoughts were about the whole thing. And this was just heartbreaking to read, to see people's homophobia and to see them blaming the victim, like, well, it's partly his fault he got killed because he was gay. And knowing that, I mean, this happened in 1998. It wasn't, that long ago. So, yeah, this utterly just had me sobbing. Question 11. What was a book that made you happy? Well, most of the middle grade I read makes me happy, but I wanted to single out The Chance to Fly by Ali Stroker and Stacey Davidowitz. This is a middle grade that focuses on Nat, our 13-year-old protagonist. She uses a wheelchair, and she also auditions to be in a musical. And the theater kids are just super inclusive and friendly, and just all of the little Easter eggs about musical theater and different plays. It was just quite a blast. It was so much fun reading and picking out all those little nuggets. So that one definitely made me happy. Question 12. What is the most beautiful book you've bought or received this year? I had 2. I couldn't pick. The first is When I Sing Mountains Dance by Irene Sola. I just think this is very gorgeous. How Beautiful We Were by Mbolo Mbue. Both of these are just super colorful and gorgeous. Can't wait to get to them. And the last question says, what are the books you need to get to by the end of the year? I don't need to read any of the books, but I strongly want to read, and I narrowed it down to 3. The first is The Wager by David Grann. This came out in April, and I had a copy from the library, but I wasn't in the right mood for it, so I am hoping to pick it up again soon. Another is a new release I'm excited for, called The Deep Sky by Yumi Kitase. This is a sci-fi thriller that I've had on my radar for several months and can't wait to read when it comes out in July. And the last is I want to prioritize getting to both volumes of Mouse by Art Spiegelman. Those are incredibly famous graphic novels that depict Art's father's experience during World War II. I'm hoping to read them during September Banned Books Week, but whenever I get to them will be a win. That's all my answers. Let me know, have you done this tag? And if so, let me know about it. Also, what is the best book you've read this year? And what is the worst? I'm interested to know. So let's have a chat down in the comments below. Thanks for joining me. Bye.